So this story is about two midget lesbians and a big Woody. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. I said and a big Woody. You see, I was working down at the ocean front in Virginia Beach at the time. This was roughly the mid 90s, 95, 96. And I'd been down there for about a year, year and a half. And there was a nightclub that was directly across the street from this Texaco. And we had an agreement. They had an agreement with the owner of the Texaco that cars could park over on that side. They had parking on the side, as long as it wasn't super busy at the Texaco, which it never was at that time of night. So they were allowed to park there until the club closed. Not a big deal. So I do my first routine patrol, and I see that there were a couple of cars. I waited about an hour and a half, and by the time the hour and a half rolled around, it was roughly about 2 o'clock, and that's usually when the crowd may not, while it may not be completely left, it is starting to thin out. So there was literally only one car left on that side of the building, and I made a note of the license plate, and I made a note of the make and model of the car, and I go back inside. Well, a half hour later, I go back out to check on the car, and this time it's doing one of these numbers, bouncing up and down. And this car had no hydraulics, folks. This wasn't a Cali car that had hydraulics. You know what they say: if cars are rocking, don't come a knocking. Well, I'm a security officer. That car's not supposed to be there. I gotta go knock to let them know they gotta move along. So I knock. No response. I knock on the window again. No response. I take my flashlight out. I flash it down. And this was one of those for sale mag lights, so it's pretty bright. And I flash it down in there, and these two girls are going to town. Just, I mean, they getting it all in on each other. They don't even pay attention. Well, about that time, my supervisor pulls up, and he pulls his car directly behind the station wagon so that they can't back out. There's no way that they can move this car without either going over the curb, which would have blown their tires, or hitting his car. Well, he asked me, he's like, so have you knocked on the window? So of course I have. I'm not a rookie. And he goes, well, let me try. So he bangs on the glass. They don't respond. He's got one of those handheld mini floodlights for all intent and purposes that you plug into your car lighter, and he turns it on and he flashes it into their car, and I mean, he lit up the whole car. They still don't move. Still nothing as far as looking up goes. Well, I was like, well, he then starts banging on the glass with his mag light and yelling at the top of his lungs. Well, they look up, and when they did, I recognized one of the girls. And I was like, wait a minute, she's wanted by the cops. He goes, what? I said, yeah, she's got an outstanding warrant. And he goes, okay. So he's got a direct line to the precinct, the 3rd precinct, which is on the ocean front. And he radios down to the precinct, and he calls in the plate number, and it comes back as having belonged to this young lady who was indeed wanted by the police. That's when it all broke loose. These girls were hot as two hens on a hot tin roof. They were ready to fight because we were getting ready to turn in this one girl, and her girlfriend wasn't having it. So they jump out of the car ready to fight me and my supervisor, again, naked as the day they were born. They don't stand but about 3 feet tall, and they're ready to fight, ready to go. My supervisor's like, we can't touch these women. These women are naked. That's a sexual assault case waiting to happen. I'm like, well, there's one way we can handle this. He's like, what? I popped out my can of bear foam, pepper mace basically, and I spray the one I spray her right in the face, full on in the face with this pepper foam. She drops, and when she does, I take handcuffs and I handcuff her. Her girlfriend, seeing that I had just pepper foamed this girl, jumps back in the car and locks all 4 doors, thinking, well, they can't get to me, they can't get to me. I was like, all right, well, we got her taken care of, and she's not going anywhere. Because, again, she can't go anywhere without going over the curb and blowing the tires or hitting my boss's car. Well, the cops get there. They rummage through and get this girl's license out of her pants, which are in the back seat. Run the ID. Sure enough, she's got an outstanding warrant. They throw a blanket around her and put her in the back of a squad car. The other girl, she catches a charge for obstruction, and they again throw a blanket over her, call a female. Now mind you, they have called a female officer. Okay, they've already, at this point, they've got a female officer there, so it's not like we're manhandling her. You know, and once I handcuffed that young lady, that was, you know, again, this was in the 90s. Things were a little different back then, you know. But she wasn't gonna fight me. We ain't having it. And for those of you who are freaking out, yes, my boss had already covered her with a blanket, and it was sitting her on the side of her car with a covered blanket. So it wasn't like we had her completely naked. But when the cops got there, they put one of their blankets around her, and he took his blanket back. So let me clarify that, okay? So I don't want any comments down in the comments saying that we mishandled this girl. We didn't. And besides that, there was a camera that was watching the whole thing. So that was probably one of the craziest nights on the beach. Yeah, that was definitely one of the craziest nights on the beach. The night that 2 midgets in a big woody decided they were going to fight the security. They fought the law, and the law won. And I don't mean us. I'm talking about the cops, because they were still ready to fight with the cops when the cops got there. Anyway, that's the story. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll catch you next time.